Today's episode is brought to you by White Glove Car Wash. You know wintertime is coming, and you know what that means. Salt and brine on the roads. The leaves are going to start falling. You're going to have crap all over your car in no time. There's no better place to get it spick and span than a White Glove Car Wash. Now offering unlimited packages starting as low as $25 a month. You can go and get your car washed as many times as you want, so you can get any level of car enthusiast in your life the best gift that they can ask for. The ability to go daily and get that little perfect car of theirs clean, spick, and span. White Glove Car Wash with locations in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. You are never too far from the glove. All you have to do is ask your phone, take me to White Glove Car Wash, and your phone is going to direct you to the best car wash in the tri-state area. Let them know that Talkin 215 sent you.
Welcome to Talkin 215, your go-to podcast for everything you need to know about Philly sports. Whether you bleed green, trust the process, fly with the Flyers, or fight with the Fightins, this is the place where we break down Broad Street. Jake, Sean, and Joey deep dive into the heart of Philly sports culture, breaking down games, roster moves, and sharing the stories that make the 215 truly legendary. So grab a cheesesteak, settle in, and let's get to Talkin 215. Now here's your host, Jake Biasado.
We asked and they delivered. The Birds finally give us that comfortable, easy, freezy, beautiful cover girl win where you just felt good all the way through. We got the coach, we got Sean, Tommy, Tomahawk, T-bone steaks, and we got the dog man, woof woof, Chris from Philly Dogs. Gentlemen, how the hell are we feeling?
Feeling good after that win.
I am content, Jake.
Just content?
I am content.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Coach.
I'm great, man. Won a game for the first time in a year by double digits, and we got to embarrass a rival. Saquon got a revenge game. What's not to like?
No, seriously. And then, of course, Tom, we feeling good? We rounding it out?
What did I say, boys? What did I say?
Tommy Moon.
Biggest
Something
game
to build
in
on. Something to build on.
Something to build on for sure. We got a big game we're going to talk about in a couple days. But look, Birds handle business. I mean, we needed them so badly to come out and just whoop that ass. And that's exactly what they did. Of course, still no first quarter points. I mean, that, keep it going. Why not? Let's just keep that trend going. But if we win by 25, that's all right. That's all right.
I'm sure everyone was super calm when we didn't score in the first quarter. I'm sure everyone was so chill and no one cared. Man,
very level-headed at home. I can tell you that.
People were freaking out.
No, it was wild. It was wild. But I mean, you saw the defense show up. What's it? 13 sacks in the past 2 weeks. I mean, who knows if that kind of level of production is sustainable? But coach's boy. Bryce Huff goes out there. No, you were Sweat. You were
I was a Sweat guy.
Sweat. He was the first guy to go out there and make a sack. Go out there. Chris's boy Bryce Huff in that 4-point stance, getting after the quarterback. Another sack, couple tackles for a loss. Everybody's going out there producing. I mean, look, like you can nitpick, but why would you? You saw exactly what you needed to see. They took exactly what the defense gave them, and they quite literally ran with it.
Yeah, my pick for offense too, Mekhi Becton, lasted 3-4 plays, and that was it. So
yeah, I mean,
big swing and miss there. But shout out Tyler Steen. I don't know how well he played, but when you run the ball like that, I assume it was pretty good.
And Fred Johnson had his hands full with Brian Burns. That's no joke, that D line, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But man, they got some game records up.
Yeah, I mean, they led the NFL in sacks heading into that week, right?
Yeah.
I think they still are.
Yeah.
They got us like 4 times in like the first half, and I think it kind of changed as the game went on. We ran the ball a little better, but man, they have some serious guys up there, man. They've played in close games for a reason. Get them.
Dexter Lawrence is no joke. Dexter Lawrence is phenomenal.
Heard that here first, folks. Dexter Lawrence, no joke.
I'm talking about like top 5 defensive players in the league. No joke.
Wow,
is what I'm talking about. Like, I mean, what do you guys think? I thought he was just unreal.
Oh, he's a wrecking man. He's a one-man wrecking crew for sure. Yeah. I mean, the defensive line was the strength of that team, that entire team front to back. And I mean, it showed. You had the graphics going. There was 9 sacks total between the two teams in the first half. just ridiculous. And if we didn't have the opportunity to run the ball the entire second half, who knows how many they would have ended up with.
Yeah. No, it was wild. And it's crazy to think, like, what do they do now? You're hearing all these trade rumors around the NFL with these teams that are either underperforming or just kind of shipping it in. The Giants yet again are in a situation where it's like, they don't have it at quarterback. I mean, they literally took Daniel Jones out of the game. They have a lot of needs. They only have what, 1 win, 2 wins? They're a 2-win team, right? Yeah, they got 2 wins. Like, it's going to be at the point where, are they going to sell these guys? Is it stuff that there's players that you obviously keep and build around, but I mean, who really cares other than it's going to affect ourself in the future with the NFC East and everything. But the Giants certainly, I would think, need to be sellers coming up, and they have a fair amount of pieces that you can kind of sell off and hopefully get some pieces to build around the future. But a guy that they have that is certainly not going anywhere, Malik Neighbors, I thought on that first drive, I was like, geez, we're going to be in for it. I mean, first 2 passes, he's just like, boom, boom. Was it like 25 yards, first 2 catches? Just
well, we had defensive ends guarding him on the first 2 plays of the game.
Yeah, classic. And then he had another play. It was like 4th down, and we had Nakobe Dean on him or something like that. Also, I'll get to Nakobe Dean. But Malik Neighbors, like, I thought he was going to be – we had a guy – I was over at my brother-in-law's watching it. We're in a big Dynasty Fantasy Football League. We had, like, half the league together watching and everything. And the guy was like, what do you think? Like, Malik Neighbors finishes with 9 catches this game. I was like, he's going to have 9 catches this drive. I mean, the guy, hats off to him. Like, he is an incredible talent. But I thought he was going to be a real problem all game long. Shout out to the defensive line, not giving Daniel Jones any time to find him. And then shout out to Q and Slay going out there and shutting shit down. I mean, like, this is a game that obviously they didn't pass the ball effectively at all. Credit to the defensive line getting the pressure. But Darius Slay, I tip my cap to you, bud. Like, I've been saying you're slightly above average. You were on him in the couple catches that you gave up. You were in the perfect spot. You made some damn good plays. A little tip of the cap. The old Mr. Slay.
This reminds me of Rocky IV at the end, where he's like, if I could change, then you can change. Everybody can change. Jake right now.
Look, I've always said Slay, good dude. When he was in his prime, one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, I've just said for the past year and a half or so, he's taken a noticeable decline. But last week and this week, I think he's played pretty good football.
I mean, if you have a pass rush, that's what really helps a cornerback, and they feed off of each other. And man, you got to give it up to the guys for hanging in there the first several weeks, and we weren't getting a pass rush. And you saw a lot from Q. You saw Slay have a couple good games in that as well. The obviously getting beat by Drake London, but ultimately the secondary has been holding this whole thing together really. Until these last 2 weeks, and you see how it looks when it all comes together. We're really shutting things down, haven't given up a touchdown. And, obviously we're going to talk a lot about how those are bad offenses, but in terms of getting back on track, I think that's what you want to see out of a young defense. They're getting some confidence. They're figuring out what they're all good at, and they're starting to take off. And I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, okay. Tom, you said it last week. It's because I said it's a get right game, right? And you kind of came in and said, no, it's let's get back on track. Right. So I think and build upon it, right? You kind of honed in on that. So I think that's exactly what this game was. So Tommy Moon definitely hyped it up appropriately last week. I'll say that.
That's good. Yeah.
No, it's going to be fun seeing what we can do against Cincinnati. I mean, that's another team that has a not great offensive line, but they have a hell of a lot better quarterback than Daniel Jones. They have a hell of a lot better weapons than, I don't even know their names, over like Devin Singletary. I mean, obviously Malik Neighbors we already talked about, but I'll take Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Zach Moss over Singletary, Neighbors, and Darius Slayton. I mean, you got guys that it's going to be a fun challenge, and it's going to be in Cincy, going away again. It feels like we haven't really had many games at home, but if we're able to survive these away games and get another win or two out of them, we're going to be having a lot of home games down the stretch. It's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm loving our stretch.
It's a nice little brother on brother game too.
Just going to say that
little twin matchup, So Chase Brown turned himself into a nice little running back there when he gets opportunities. He makes the most of them. So what better way to kick off that game than to have the twin brothers going at it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when you said Zach Moss, I was like, I think Chase Brown's kind of the guy now.
He's their guy, man.
If fantasy's any indication of it, Zach Moss is about to get benched. So I think it's the twin brother game here, like Joey said.
All right, real quick, let's hit back to the last Sunday's game against the Giants. I would just like to say that the MVP of this team, I know we've made much ado about the defensive line, the secondary really coming together. The MVP of this team is A.J. Brown. This is a man possessed, a total game changer. He's averaging 20 yards per carry, but is an absolute, and we say it all the time, he's a game breaker. Like, this guy is just a man possessed. Like, I went away from this game saying a couple different things. Jalen had a fantastic game. Okay. He was one or two just throwaways away from playing just a complete game from top to bottom, right? John Mara, shout out to you for letting Saquon walk, right? Because whatever he was trying to pay him, it's a pittance compared to his performance on the field, right? Saquon's got 650 yards rushing up till this point of the season. And I don't know. I don't know that I've seen anybody completely have the opportunity to take over a game quite like A.J. Brown. Like, the man just does not drop a ball. He's always open. And Jalen just has a way of, like, he knows exactly how fast A.J. Brown can run. It's like he's fine-tuned that hand-eye coordination for the exact top-end speed for A.J. Brown. That's ultimately my takeaway was, like, we finally have something to build upon, okay? Fine. This was the week, all right, fellas?
I mean, look, I'm going to say it. Jalen Hurts, very good game. Fabulous. I don't know. But it's funny how you have that third down play where Devontae Smith doesn't have anybody within 5 yards of him, and Jalen's got a perfect pocket to throw it in, just completely misses him. And then fourth down, while getting hit, throws a ball that could not have been thrown better. I mean, when you say drop it in a bucket, that was quite literally, he dropped it in a cup. He dropped it in a shot glass. He dropped a full-size NFL football in a shot glass.
While being hit.
Yes. But it's just hilarious. It's like third down, Devontae Smith's doing jumping jacks at the line to gain. Like, I'm right here. Nobody's between Hurts and Devontae. There's not a defender's hand. There's nothing. He misses him, and then he catches him way too late, misses him on the sideline with a bad pass. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, I made a tweet earlier, like Hurts had a couple plays where we're like, throw the ball. And people were all, still tweeting about Sirianni. And I tweeted, I was like, hey, it's crazy how long Sirianni's holding on to the ball for. It's not, Sirianni really needs to get rid of the ball earlier. And then, I mean, and again, it was a tongue-in-cheek thing. Like, you all know, I'm a fan of Jalen. We all know that there's things that everybody on this team can improve on, maybe except for A.J. Brown. But we all hold people accountable. But, man, that throw, people talked for years about that Sam Bradford to Darren Sproles little route where he drops it right over the shoulder. I mean, you heard people talking about it. It was a preseason game. People were talking about that forever. This pass was better. This pass was dropped right on the bacon and while being hit. It's just nuts how, like, to your point, Sean, he just has this hand-eye coordination, plus just he has just the trust that he's like, all right, one-on-one, it ain't getting picked.
He just knows exactly where he's going to be. He doesn't see Devontae Smith. He didn't see him one time during that game. Not
he
once.
saw him for a 2-yard loss. I was like, come on, for my Devontae Smith over 40 yards receiving, I was like, gee, thanks.
Nope, he did not exist this game. And listen, and you're right. Jalen has some things he needs to work on long term. He needs to know exactly where he's going with the ball. It just seems like but slowly but surely, it feels like he's getting more and more comfortable with this offense, right? So it seems like it was very vanilla as the season began, which is strange because I feel like the Packers game, it was about as complex as we've seen it so far.
Yeah.
But, and then seriously regressed those next 4 weeks. And then feels like just little by little, it's getting a little more complicated. They're throwing some wrinkles here and there. But
I wonder what the difference is between that Packers game and then the last 2 games, as opposed to when the offense sucked. I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
I saw a stat that said EPA, the Eagles have the 32nd ranked offense in the first quarter, which is understandable. Like, we get that. We're the only team that hasn't scored, so that's going to be that. But quarters 2 through 4 were the number 3 overall offense in the NFL. Quarters 2 through 4. So it's like it's there, right? Like, we're not saying like, oh, we know that this can't happen, it won't happen. It is there. You can do it. We can make it happen. I don't know what needs to happen. Maybe it's get away from the scripted plays. Typically during the Andy Reid era, we knew that McNabb and Westbrook and those guys, the first 12 scripted plays, we were just going to be carving, right? And then we were going to hit a lull through about quarters 2 to 3, once we got out of that. But this is like the opposite with this team. So it's kind of like maybe start the game going no huddle, let Jalen call it at the line and just, change it up, do something different. But, when you see the peak of what this offense can be, and I just think it's funny, Jay, you mentioned it, like when it was fourth and 3 or whatever it was, I think it was 4th and 3 on the AJ ball. And as soon as I saw the deep ball being thrown, I'm like, no. And then a touchdown, I'm like, I mean, yes, that's exactly
like
what
I said.
wanted.
Throw it to AJ right down the side on 4th and 3. Duh.
And it's a testament to a clutch gene, right? Like, I if you've ever played quarterback, if you've ever played any sport, if you ever coached any sport, players will lie to you all the time and say, with the game on the line or this and that, you treat it like any other play. You treat it like any other at bat. You treat it like any other, goal to go situation. No, you don't. Your ass puckers up just a little bit more. You're a little bit more locked in. Don't tell me that you're not, because you are. So 4th and 3 to throw that ball as perfectly as he did just shows the ice in his veins, the bond he has with AJ. So cool, man. It means a lot more than if it was like 2nd and 8. I'm telling you.
And his making that throw with your ass puckered up is definitely a tough one to do. But
no, there's not many things that get easier with a puckered ass. I'll tell you that.
Not many.
No,
not many things that get
the
easier.
best play by Jalen, since we're on the topic of Jalen, I think the best play he made all day was that sack evasion and up into the 3rd and 2. He turned into a big first down to kind of put a cap on the game. And and everyone was questioning, he's going down, he's taking more sacks. I think he's just playing like to live to see another down, and it sucks because we're losing a lot of yards and getting sacked. But when the game, it was a point in the game where it's like, if you just convert this, then we probably just like, this is it for them. This is their last breath. And he put his foot right in their chest with that play. So, you're seeing the player Jalen's becoming, and you're seeing the untapped potential of him in an offense like this, where he's calling more out, he has more autonomy at the line, and he's continuing to do it. And when those natural instincts come in and he makes a play like that, it just reminds you, like, he can take over games, he can be a big time player, and that's what we have. So he's gonna continue to lead this team, and it all starts and ends with him. So
yeah. Chris, I want to talk about your offensive player of the game before the game, obviously Saquon. I mean, it was a game that we all knew he was going to show out in. It's his return to MetLife, this time wearing the midnight green. It was all hyped up. We kind of hurt both of our bets of 3 total touchdowns against the Giants. Hopefully we lose that bet because they don't even need to play him week 17 or week 18, whatever we want to call it. Hopefully we lose that bet because they're already locked up in a position where we're riding into the postseason. But it was a game that clearly he could have had 200 plus. He showed his true leadership with that clip that the Eagles put out today, where Sirianni went up to him and told him, hey, you're 17 yards from your career high. You want to get back out there? And he said, no, let the young guys eat. And it just shows the kind of leadership he is. But also, to be fair, how many times did they cut to the sideline and you saw that boy inhaling some wind after a 50, 60-yard run? I mean, a hell of a lot better than I'd be doing in that situation. But there's a couple times where you were just like, hey, Gainwell, come on, bud. Get in there. I'm running 2 free out here right now.
Yeah, I don't know that I hope that I lose the bet, because it'd be pretty awesome to win it. But yeah, I said 3 tutties. I think I was hyping up my own bet. But I mean, what a fucking Saquon day that was. Like, he set the tone with that one hit. He laid out that. I don't know who it was, but he laid him out, and that was unreal. From that point on, I was like, that's it. That's what he needed to get out of the way, and then let's fucking run with it. So that's exactly what he did. Like, it was unreal. And he should have had 2 tutties, if I'm being honest, because he was wide open and Jalen didn't see him. It led to a tush-push touchdown, so I'm all good. But I mean, that could have been an even bigger day for Saquon. And if he wanted to get that record, he could have gotten that too. I mean, shit.
2 tush pushes. instead of Saquon.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
he got
yeah.
He got vultured. My bet should have hit. That
was
should've been it,
Vegas
but-
calling in. Listen, we got a boost on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tush,
I
push,
thought Boston Scott said it best. Somebody tweeted to Boston Scott saying, "Hey, are you willing to relinquish the giant killer title to Saquon?" And I'll paraphrase. I don't have it right in front of me, but he said, "Nah, man, he's not a giant killer. He's just a killer."
Yeah,
And that, I mean, that's what we've seen.
Wow.
I mean, look, my preseason hot take of 2,000 all-purpose yards for Saquon, he's on pace. Like he's literally on pace for 2,000 all-purpose yards. It's nuts. We are seeing a running back where we talked a lot. I know early in the off season, we had Tom Stakes coming on here talking about legends, talking about Eagles legends, getting people all triggered, getting people all riled up. We are watching the early makings of a potential legend. Like you want to say running back Mount Rushmore, this guy has the early makings of just being right there front and center.
I think what we talked about too at the beginning of the year, like when we found out we signed Saquon, right, was like what we're most excited to look for, this and that. Like everybody knows the athlete, the freak he is, the squats, all that stuff. But for me, it was an average running back that has a hole that can gain 2 yards. Saquon gets 8. An average running back that has a hole that can get 4 yards. Saquon's getting 16. Or an average running back that sees a little sliver of a hole and all of a sudden it turns into a 56-yard run. So that's the separation between him and the next back is, yeah, we all love DeAndre Swift. We all love Miles Sanders, but they cannot physically do what this man can do. And when you have a back that can turn, instead of it being a 2nd and 9 on a 1-yard gain, that he somehow got 5 yard and you're at 2nd and 5, every play in your playbook is still on the table here at this point. Instead of 2nd and 9, you're like, okay, well, now I got to throw 2 times in a row to pick up this first. The defense is on it. They understand. They know what to do. It literally opens up so much because of what he does, the little things. And I seriously sat here on this podcast and said, I will bet you guys anything in the world we're not signing Saquon in the offseason. That's not what Howie does. He doesn't pay running backs. I'm so happy to be wrong. And like you look at Saquon's making the same amount as Darnell Mooney made in free agency. And if you want to talk about position versatility, would you rather have Darnell Mooney or Saquon Barkley? Like it's not up for discussion. So Howie paid a weapon and he said, use him however you need to. And we're seeing that, man. It's just awesome to see.
Yeah. He's on pace right now for 2,150 all-purpose yards.
And
2,100,
215? And it jumps off the screen. Exactly what you mentioned, Joey, is like the 2nd and 9s. Instead of that, you get a 2nd and 5. And just that little 4 yards extra that he does get on like a play where he kind of just lifts his body up over a guy and like slides down.
No, he puts a guy in the dirt.
Or
he drops his head and he puts a guy in the dirt.
Or he drops a guy like that. Like you're seeing it. You're seeing the value. Like you're seeing what we paid him for and what he is as a player, special player. And kind of like Derrick Henry up in Baltimore. There's some guys that just break that rule. Like there's some guys that you can't apply the running back rule to because they're just game-changing type players. I mean, you saw it with Christian McCaffrey. There's a few of them in every era that are like that, and it gets less and less. But he's one of them in this era.
And I'm not talking about the Miles Sanders in Carolina, but like let's bring up Miles Sanders. We on this podcast talked about Miles Sanders is a home run hitter. You just have to give him the carries to get it. He will get you that home run. You just got to give him, over 12 carries. Because for years we were talking about, we called it the 12 carry Barry. Like, is he going to break that 12 carry barrier? Like, we never seem to really settle into the run. Saquon Barkley, first of all, he's always breaking the 12 carry Barry. I mean, they're giving the guy almost 20 carries a game. But he's a guy that could get you that home run on the first, the second, the third, fourth. Like, he's a guy that'll hit you a home run any at bat. He's, Shohei Ohtani behind the line right now, where we were talking, Miles Sanders, like he's going to bust one, but it'll probably not be until he gets a rhythm and they figure something out and they see something. Maybe that 15th carry, he'll take it for 50 yards or something. But like last year, DeAndre Swift, fine running back, good running back. I'd even say he might have even had a very good year. But it's like we talked on this podcast all the time. It's like, man, it seems like all around the league you're watching red zone. And it's like, oh, let's turn over to Tampa Bay where so and so just busts a 50-yard touchdown. Let's take it over to Minnesota and we're like, we'll have like a 20-yard run out of bounds for a first down on 2nd and 7. Like we're never getting these home run hits, these 60-yard runs every single week. I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure every game he's had a run over 30 yards.
Well, we lead the NFL in plays of 40+ yards. Super. I call that
X plays.
Super X plays. Super explosive. Explosive is like a 10-yard run or a 20-yard pass, but 40-yard is like Super X or whatever they call it. And we lead the entire NFL in that. So just based on what Sean said earlier with AJ Brown, with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley, when this team is healthy, the explosive plays are there, man.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bucket Golf. I am sick and tired of spending so much money to go play courses that really aren't even that good a shape and go put my Sunday best on just to get swamp ass and look like an idiot by the end of the day. That's where Bucket Golf comes in. In 3, 6, 9, and 18 hole sets, you can convert any backyard, any field, any park, anything really in general into your own personal golf course. You see us playing it down at Citizens Bank Park, and you're going to see us playing it a whole lot more this winter. Head on over to their website, bucketgolfgame.com. Use promo code TALKIN215. Give them a great review and have the time of your life playing a game that we all love, but now stress-free with a beer in your hand, and it's not costing you an arm and a leg to play. Bucket Golf. Let's play, folks. Sean, any thoughts?
I like to move on to the defensive side of the ball for a little bit. I'm glad we finally got Chris on here because his Georgia Dogs are showing out, man.
Dude, shout out Nolan Smith. I'm gonna get to the real star of the day here in a second, but shout out Nolan Smith, guys. Like I said, that one sack last week where you just saw him go nuts.
Well, they said tell a guy that runs a 4.3 40 to put his hands in the damn dirt and get a good rush, and all of a sudden he's hitting guys going considerably faster than he was the first month of the season. It's not rocket science. You saw it with Bryce Up. You're seeing it with Nolan Smith. They're getting more comfortable with this defensive scheme, and Vic Fangio is putting him in a position to win. Vic Fangio is just getting better at figuring out what guys do really well. Right, where their strengths are. You look at another Georgia Dog, you got Nakobe Dean all of a sudden is blitzing like a madman and is excelling at it.
Linebacker in football right now. After last week. If the season started last week, he's the best linebacker in football.
He shot out of the cannon on that one sack. I mean, just the Philly Dogs here, right? 6 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 17 tackles, 7 quarterback hits. Like this was the coming out part.
Big deal.
No big deal, right? My whole account's just based on it, but no big deal. But like we've seen these games where like Carter will have a day, or Dean will look really good, or Nolan Smith will get a sack. But in unison for this shit to happen was unreal. Like,
I mean, did Jordan Davis?
He did not. We don't talk about Jordan Davis right now, or Keely Ringer for that matter. But those guys showed out. They feasted, and it just was unbelievable to watch and see. And those guys come together. And like the way that they did was unreal.
No, and Sean, you brought up the Vic Fangio point. Like this guy, we talked so many times the past years. I mean, we've had 3 different coordinators in 3 different years now of just like, man, we need to see adjustments. We need to see like coaches realizing what's not working and change it. And he's completely changed. And we saw where we never saw 5-man rush in week 2 and week 3. It seems like we're rushing 5 more often than we're not. We're sending all this kind of pressure. We're getting after the quarterback. We're putting guys in better positions to succeed. We're seeing Cooper DeJean in the slot just absolutely manhandling situations, being as sure of a tackler as you're going to find in the NFL. We're seeing Isaiah Rodgers finding his role where we were like, man, what is this guy just like completely thrown out in the doghouse? And then you're not seeing him left and right, but you're seeing him being utilized a little bit better. You're just seeing him, Vic Fangio, just kind of putting the chess pieces all around the board right where he's figuring out they go best. Where it's like, hey, you got me in the first half, not going to lie.
Well, also, I mean, just because DeJean was injured early in camp, You had Avonte Maddox out there playing 55 snaps a game, and that has been addition by subtraction just in it. Right. He got a couple snaps against the Giants, but so did everybody else. So
Devontae Maddox, the Taiwan Walker of the Eagles.
no.
Maddox
He's not
just
a free
played
agent,
well in the past.
so he's I would definitely need some time to figure out exactly. He's kind of like the Alec Bone of
Whoa. Whoa.
had a good first half. Had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
Ooh. Jake's going to take offense to that.
Dagger in the heart. Big bone guy.
Like the
Huge.
Jordan meme. It's like the Jordan meme with Jake now. It became personal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we love Maddox. We love Maddox for years, especially on this podcast. We always sang his praises, but he's cooked. He's roasted. He's done. He's done. Put him out the pasture, right?
He's just had too many injuries. I mean, he's had too many significant injuries at a position where you need explosiveness. You need to be as fresh as possible. He is not an exception to the rule. You see every now and then these cornerbacks and secondary guys have injuries, come back, and still be the same. He's not the same. He's not. And that's okay. He
plays above his pedigree for years, right? It's a testament to his hard work, right? But if you're not like the genetically elite freaks and you get injured like that, you're just not going to last. It happens to 100 guys every single season. You did your best, kid.
Yeah, we're not mad at him. We're not. It stinks.
And listen, we certainly planned for it, right? DeJean's stepped in and has been a guy all over the field, right? It seems like he's always in position, right? It seems like he's always making a good play on the ball. He's got a knack for the ball. You see him returning punts. He steps in. We got one of the best punt returns in the league that goes out. He steps right in. And all of a sudden, Tom is talking about marrying the guy. He's talking about being at tailgates with another man's sausage in his mouth.
Yikes.
And it makes sense.
I wanted to bring up something real quick that when I was at the game with all these fantasy guys watching and all, it was a lot of the guys I went and watched the round one of the NFL draft with. And I brought up in the middle of it because it was somewhat of a split room when the Eagles were on the clock between people saying, oh, go Terry and Arnold. Oh, go Quinyon Mitchell. I was pretty staunchly in the Quinyon Mitchell side. We have tweets backing up. I have video of me there and all. And I asked a lot of guys there. And I haven't watched a lot of Terry Arnold's on the Lions, correct? Yeah. I haven't watched a ton of Lions games. I'm not going to lie. So you all tell me if he's been, lighting up, blowing off the screen or anything. But can we all say pretty confidently we got the best cornerback in the draft?
Yeah.
He was a rookie.
Yeah.
He was the first corner off the board. So, I mean, he better have been, right? I mean,
no, but there are still people like, oh, you're talking about Toledo, you're talking about this guy's,
right.
Alabama pedigree. They were back and forth in the mock drafts of who's cornerback one. Like there was a lot of people saying, and a common thing I heard was, you take either one of them, I'm happy either way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't really go wrong. I was like, no, give me Quinyon Mitchell. But I think pretty severely. I mean, we're a couple interceptions away from him having a Sauce Gardner level of a rookie season.
He just needs to work on his hands.
Yeah.
He had better hands.
He can have 3 or 4 picks. He needs to work on his hands, and CJ needs to get the fuck out of the way.
I mean, who knows if he would have even caught that one. But to be honest, Q's been awesome. And the reason he did go so late to us is because of the Toledo thing. I mean, that's really what it was. And that was the league making a mistake, and we capitalized on that. He should have been. I mean, come on, if Saban would.
I mean, it would also help that the first 16 picks were offensive.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'll tell you what, if Quinyon Mitchell did get lured to Alabama by Nick Saban, he would have been a top 10 draft pick. Like
that's fair.
Quinyon
maybe the top 5, to be honest with you.
Seriously.
Quinyon at Alabama would have been insane work for college football. Like, oh my gosh, he would have been clamping like Malik Neighbors or whoever. I mean, shoot.
Guys, think about it. That secondary had Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Brian Branch. And Saban was still like, this is my number one target in the entire portal. Not offense, not D-line, not quarterback. This guy tried to lure him, and he said no. And then when you watch the combine, he's running a 4.3, putting up 30 reps on the bench press, 40-inch vertical, and you're like, oh, yeah, he also went down to the Senior Bowl and smacked around every wide receiver from Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama. And I was
said,
like,
I'm not getting lured, I'm getting luried.
Yeah, like
That's
oh my
bad.
god. So yeah, if you look on draft day, I was like, I'll take Terrion, I'll take Cooper DeJean. I was like, I'll take Quinyon Mitchell at this spot. Give me one of those three, and I'm a happy Eagles
Oh
fan.
yeah, we
right?
were all just like, give me a cornerback because they obviously never do.
We had our pick of the litter, but then when you go to like, let's just say that you value Terrion and Quinyon the same, and then you look at the athletic testing, and it's not even close.
And like the film, even like, and I'm not like a big like, oh, I watch tons of film, but I saw a clip of Chad Johnson and Shannon Sharp talking about Quinyon Mitchell and like his footwork on film and stuff. So I did like go and like look up some clips, and I just love how smooth he looked and how like just mature he looked as a corner. And I put out a tweet actually that was like Quinyon Mitchell had like 43 games in college, whereas DeJean had like 25 or something, and then Terrion Arnold had like lower than that. I might be way off on those numbers, but Quinyon and Cooper DeJean were the two most experienced out of the three. And when you're looking for guys that we think we're a win now team, you're talking about rookies coming in making that impact. We got guys that were like NFL ready players, and I think that not only for now but the future. But I think that definitely had a lot to do with what we were looking for in those guys. And I think we made the right picks on both of them, honestly. I like Cooper DeJean so much. And the fact that we got him in the second round is it's just insane.
Also,
I
Cooper
mean,
DeJean, hell of a punt returner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Vic
But-
Fangio
At
said?
Iowa, he was nasty too.
Did you?
I mean, how many
hear what
times
Vic said, though? He
No,
said he
what's
doesn't
that?
want Cooper DeJean on punt returns anymore. My bad. You
Oh
can
yeah, I
go
did
ahead.
see him say that, but sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't see
Sorry,
that.
Vic.
yeah. Vic said he doesn't want, like, he was making some mention of it today.
Well, Vic is a pretty straight shooter, so if he's
The
saying
kid's
it,
22 years old. Let him. I mean, he's fine.
Everyone's saying they cut Paris Campbell because they're going to bring Anaya Smith back and make him do the punt returns while Covey's out.
Did y'all hear the reports on him and catching punts? And
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I just go get a veteran guy out of free agency then. Just like go get like
you can't return a punt if you can't catch it.
he was dropping everything.
Yeah,
I mean
everything.
everything.
That's what I don't want is like mistakes on special.
Breaking news: Tom doesn't want Eagles punt returners to muff punts. You heard it here first, folks. This is stuff you're only going to find at Talkin 215.
It's a pet peeve, like that football pet peeve. Do not take my offense chance. Don't take my offense's chances away. Like
Eagles fan doesn't like fumbles.
Terrible.
More at
So Anaya Smith was dropping everything, catches, punts, kicks, everything in camp. And then when it came down the roster cuts, because he was a 5th round pick, how he was like, your ankle hurts. He's like, no, I'm good. He's like, your ankle hurts. You're on IR. Your ankle hurts. Trust me, it does. He's like, oh, okay. All right.
Now that you mention it,
it is kind of
a little weird.
Yeah.
No, it's but look, you know who else had a case of the drops? Jamar Chase. We've got Jamar Chase and Anaya Smith. I mean, they're one and the same.
Pretty much the same player.
Pretty much.
All right, I cut Chris before, and I want to hear back to what he was saying. My bad, Chris.
No, you're good. You guys all kind of covered it.
Hey, Chris, hold that thought real quick. No, just
but you guys, we all said the same thing, right? So we said Terrion Arnold, Q, Cooper DeJean. I would have been happy with any of the three, like Joey said. But how many times as Eagles fans have we seen that go the wrong way, right? Where we see
Marcus Smith.
I mean, the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor, the list I'm sure goes on. But to see it work out is like a testament to how he's kind of turned that facet of his game in a different direction, but two, how lucky we are that it actually worked, right? And then we're seeing it early on. So it's not one of those things we got to wait and see in a couple years, this Q kind of flush out, but like we're seeing it live, to Tom's point, NFL ready, right? And they're coming in and participating, and not only participating rather, but thriving. Like these guys are killing it. And it's just awesome to see it finally work out after so many misses.
Shout out the Godfather too, Vic Fangio. I mean, I said it, these players are coachable, and he's willing to coach them. The Georgia guys, I said they were coachable. All the young guys, they're willing to come in and just like you're seeing the investment in these young players like pay off. They've been great all year, honestly, for their expectation for the Eagles defense expectations. I'd say they've outperformed it. I don't think anyone should say that they're disappointed in the defense this season at all.
No, I think you and Sean were right on that. where you both said, hey, we talk about accountability, we talk about adjustments, we talk about coaches making changes and everything. But you both said, hey, shout out to the dogs being coachable. Shout out to them being able to take this stuff with so many different defensive schemes. With last year, we had 2 different defensive coordinators in the same year. We got another new one this year who's known to have a very complex, very difficult defense to really grasp. And they went out there and they're all having pretty big career years. And you're talking about guys right off the rip getting it done. Nakobe Dean was a guy that I put out a poll at the start of the season. And it was like, what was your trust level in Nakobe Dean? And I think the choices were he's a bona fide starter. Like he's got to show me something, but yeah, start him out there, start him on the bench, or just cut him now. And I put it in there. I'm pretty sure I put start him on the bench, but give him the opportunity. And he shut me up real quick. And we talk a lot about year 3 is a year that you see positions really find their role, find their own. You've seen a lot of wide receivers specifically year 3 have that breakout year to really see it. I haven't seen so much in linebackers, but he's a guy that seems to have found his own, especially even in the past couple of weeks. He started the season a little bit sluggish, a little bit like, oh, you're seeing a splash play here and there, and then you're seeing the old deer in the headlights playing with still feet rather than be happy feet moving around the field. And I don't know if they've changed something. Obviously, they've changed something. I don't know what it is, but it's just way more instinctual. It's way more technical, and he's just getting shot out of a cannon. And you're happy anytime that the ball is going over to his side of the field because you feel confident that he's going to make the play.
I think so. I'm sure there's plenty of X's and O's. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about Fangio putting guys in better positions based on what they do well. I think cutting Devin White was pretty big and just telling this guy, hey, listen, you're our starter. There's nobody breathing down your back. There's no former first round pick that is, waiting in the shadows for you to mess up one game, right? We cut him and he's pretty much flourished ever since, which not to get too sidetracked, but I do have a little tinfoil hat theory as to Devin being one of the reasons that we struggled so mightily against the Bucks. Right? We have the worst game of the season by far, and Devin White gets cut immediately afterwards after liking another one of his former teammates' post. I think maybe there might have been a little intel exchange hands. I have no proof, but anyways, I do think that cutting him has just given Nakobe a sense of kind of confidence in his role in this team, and it's helped him clearly.
Yeah, I think
Also, is Devin White signed by anyone?
I'm looking that up. I'm literally looking that up right now.
so. With Nakobe, though, I want to talk a little bit about Nakobe, and um, you know, I think people, are always in my mentions, and they're like, "Yeah, he just can't cover. He's undersized." And it's like, yeah, if he was of size and could cover, he'd be freaking Fred Warner. So like, accept Nakobe for what he is. Like everyone wants everything out of all these guys, and it's like, well, he was a third round pick. He is undersized, and he's going to get caught in coverage, and there's going to be teams that get him that way, but. He's not perfect, but for what he is, he's been really good, and he has found a role, and he's been able to be a weapon in this defense. So I appreciate him for what he does, and I know that he's not going to be perfect, but the expectations are everything, and he's like the whole defense. They've exceeded expectations to this point, and I couldn't be happier with these guys.
It's the same thing with Jordan. Same thing with Jordan Davis, Tom, that you're saying about Nakobe. Is like you gotta put your expectations where they are. He's not the guy that's going to get a sack per game, however many sacks a year. He's that guy's going to stuff the run. He's a huge body, so let him be who he is. As long as he's not a liability, I'm fine. Yeah,
and that's a good point because he played 12 snaps, and everyone's like, "Well, why'd that?" Well, because they're in third and long all game. And we have Moro Ojomo and Thomas Booker. We're sicking the freaking dogs on them. No pun intended. The other dogs, the dudes that don't get to play a lot. When you're in third and long a lot, and you have Moro Ojomo and Thomas Booker coming in fresh off the bench, you're putting them on the field on those third and longs. It's like you're sending an offense to the graveyard with that, and it was working. We were getting sacks and penetrating. So the fact that Jordan Davis isn't like a selfish player or anything like that, worried about how many snaps he's getting, that's kind of the whole motto and mantra of this team. So he's going to get there. He's going to get his, but yeah, the other guys are eating.
Devin White is still a free agent, coach.
Still a free agent. Do we forget what the linebacker play looked like last year?
It was terrible.
Do we? Yeah.
No.
Can you imagine going from that to seeing how Nakobe Dean's playing right now and be like, yeah, but he's a little undersized. Are you kidding me? He looks like Ray Lewis in his prime compared to what we had last year. So let's put things into perspective just a little bit. And just to touch on the Vic Fangio thing, I think it's so cool to see that he's a nice blend of old school hard nose and then modern day intelligence. You saw after the Green Bay game, he had no problem calling Bryce Huff out and saying he's going to be in the rotation like all the other guys. The star guy that we signed this offseason, the rest of passers, just going to be in the rotation. He doesn't care about your last name, what round you were picked in, or your paycheck. He does not. He said, Coop, as soon as you're healthy, you're going in there. He said, guess what? Moro Ajomo and Thomas Booker, guys that are 7th round or undrafted, you're going to be playing a lot because you know why? I watch practice tape, and in practice, you are beating the crap sometimes out of one of the best offensive lines in football. So you've earned the right to play, and they show it for him. So he gives guys a chance to play who prove it to him. He has no problem saying, oh, Howie, that linebacker that you spent money on, one of the first signings of the offseason, I want him off my team. He's going. Bryce Huff, if you don't get your ass in gear here, you're going to be rotating with 36-year-old Brandon Graham and one of the young dogs, okay? That's just how it's going to be. I don't care how much money you make. Jordan Davis, first-round pick. Thomas Booker off the street and Moro Ajomo, 7th-round pick, are going to be playing reps over you. He doesn't care as long as you do right and do by the system. And it's such a mix of old school and new school, man. It's refreshing to see. Like I said, we've come a long way from last year, boys. A long way.
Hey, we still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, the process. I love it. I love the process. I love the journey. I love every second of it.
Let's not talk about the process with Joel not even playing game 1.
Oh, it was bad
NBA
timing on
season.
that.
What a joke. This entire Sixers franchise is a joke. Sean, you said it perfectly. You're like, yeah, I'm trying so hard to be excited about this Sixers season. And the Sixers
I want to be in, like, it just sucks the enjoyment of basketball. It's the one sport where I find myself like leaving other teams' games on because it's so hard to root for the Sixers. I hate it. I hate
the
it.
Flyers
so
suck. Breaking news: the Flyers suck.
Yeah, the
And
Flyers
the Flyers are getting
Flyers
their
are
asses
horrible.
kicked. Figuratively, literally.
Well, the first game we're giving away is Halloween night, and so they're gonna figure it out once we start going to the games.
And you know the Boston Celtics are up 19 against the Knicks right now.
Everything sucks right now. We need the Eagles. We need them, baby. We need the Birds.
Go Birds, baby. Go Birds.
What could go wrong?
Go Birds, dickhead.
I'll tell you what could go wrong. I'm going to be up in Philadelphia in 2 weeks. That's what could go wrong.
Let's go. That's
yeah, you're not going to be at the housewarming party, but whatever.
That's going to be a
family, Jacob.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Sure, you can't bring them or anything. I don't know. Final thoughts, everybody? Sean, final thought?
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Coach?
We have never won in Cincinnati in the history of the Eagles franchise. Did you guys know that? We have never won.
We tied.
That changes this Sunday.
Wow. I wonder what your final thought's going to be in 2 days. Tommy?
We never won, but we have tied. And you're telling me there's a chance to go out there and get a tie? I'll take it.
What?
At least it wasn't like a final thought that lasted 5 minutes. We take what we can get. Chris?
I don't know if I can top that one, but go Birds and go Philly Dogs.
There it is. There it is. I already used the AJ Brown and the Chick-fil-A. I'm trying to work in a Saquon one, but right now we'll just leave it. Go Birds.